Let me tell you about a man named Donald from Sacramento, California. Donald is 73 years old, retired electrician, clean driving record for over 50 years, never had an accident, never had a serious violation, never given anyone reason to question his ability behind the wheel. Last spring, his license came up for renewal. He assumed he would do what he had always done, go online, answer a few questions, pay the fee, and be done with it in 15 minutes. His daughter called him from the DMV website with news he was not expecting. Online renewal was no longer an option for him, not because of anything he did wrong, because of how old he is. Donald was required to appear in person at a DMV office. He needed to pass a vision test. And depending on what the DMV examiner observed during his visit, he could have been required to take a written knowledge exam or a behind-the-wheel road test. Donald had no idea this rule existed. He had been renewing the same way for decades. Nobody from the DMV sent him a letter. Nobody called. The rules simply changed. And the seniors most affected by those changes are often the last ones to find out. If you were born before 1956, that puts you at 70 years of age or older. And in a growing number of states across this country, turning 70 or 75 or 79 or 80 triggers a set of DMV requirements that younger drivers never face. Requirements that, if you do not know about them ahead of time, can mean showing up at a renewal expecting one process and encountering something very different. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what those requirements are. Not rumors, not viral social media posts, the actual verified rules, state by state, for the states where the most seniors live. I will tell you what changes at 70, what changes at 75, what changes at 80, and what you need to do before your next renewal to make sure you are prepared. Stay until the end, because I'm going to cover something most people miss entirely, the insurance angle. And for senior drivers in states with mandatory testing, what happens at renewal can affect more than just your license. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on the bell. Rules that affect senior drivers change at the state level regularly. When they change, your DMV does not always send a clear explanation of what it means for your specific renewal. This channel does. Subscribe and let's get into it. Before I get into the state-by-state breakdown, let me be clear about something important. There is no single federal law requiring road tests, annual renewals, or cognitive screenings for all senior drivers in the United States. Driver licensing has always been handled by states, and that has not changed. If you saw a viral post or a headline claiming there is a new nationwide mandate targeting all drivers over 70, that claim has been fact-checked and confirmed to be false. What is real is a patchwork of state-level rules, some of which have been on the books for years and some of which have been updated recently, that impose specific requirements on older drivers depending on their age and which state they are licensed in. Those real rules affect millions of seniors, and not knowing about them before your renewal can cost you time, create stress, and in some cases, catch you off guard at a moment when you cannot afford it. So let's go through them state by state, starting with the states where the rules are most significant. California. Rules apply at age 70. California has one of the most structured sets of senior driving rules in the country. Starting at age 70, California drivers can no longer renew their license online or by mail, even with a clean driving record. Every renewal must happen in person at a DMV field office. At that in-person visit, you must pass a vision test. The minimum standard is 20/40 vision in at least one eye, with or without corrective lenses. If you wear glasses or contacts, bring them. You will also be required to pass a written knowledge exam, a shorter version than the one new drivers take, focused on current traffic laws and rules most relevant to experienced drivers. A behind-the-wheel road test is not automatically required at every renewal. However, if the DMV examiner has any concern based on what they observe during your visit, or if they receive a medical report or referral from a physician or law enforcement, they can require one. California's renewal cycle is 5 years for most drivers. For seniors 70 and older, that means an in-person visit with vision and written testing every 5 years at minimum, and potentially more often if any concerns are flagged. If you have a parent or family member in California who has been renewing online for years, this is a conversation worth having before their next renewal comes up. Because showing up at the DMV, expecting an online renewal process, and being told you have to come in with a vision test waiting can be a difficult surprise. Texas. Rules apply at age 79. Texas gives senior drivers more flexibility than California, up to a certain point. But at age 79, the rules change significantly. Starting at 79, Texas requires all driver license renewals to be completed in person. Online and mail renewals are no longer available. At that in-person visit, a vision test is required at every renewal. The standard is 20/70 vision or better in at least one eye. Texas also shortens the license renewal cycle for its oldest drivers. Drivers 85 and older receive 2-year licenses, rather than the standard 8-year license given to younger drivers. That means more frequent visits, more frequent vision tests, and more opportunities for the DMV to assess whether anything has changed. For drivers between 79 and 84, the renewal period is also shortened compared to the standard cycle. If you are in Texas and approaching 79, or if your license is already due for renewal and you are in that age range, the in-person requirement applies to you now. Florida. Rules apply at age 80. Florida has one of the highest concentrations of senior drivers in the country, and its rules reflect a more measured approach than some other states, with the key requirement kicking in at 80 rather than 70 or 79. Starting at age 80, Florida requires a vision test at every license renewal. You can take that test at the DMV or have a certified eye doctor complete and submit a vision report form on your behalf. The minimum standard is 20/70 vision or better. Florida also prohibits online renewal for drivers 80 and older. You must appear in person or have a medical professional submit the required documentation. The good news for Florida drivers is that a routine road test is not required based on age alone. A road test can be ordered if a specific concern is documented through a physician's report, a law enforcement referral, or a family member concern submitted to the DMV, but age by itself does not trigger one. Florida's renewal cycle drops from 8 years to 6 years at age 80. So where a younger driver might go 8 years between renewals, an 80-year-old Florida driver will be back at the DMV or submitting vision documentation every 6 years. Illinois. Major change effective July 1st, 2026. Illinois has historically been one of the stricter states for senior drivers. For years, drivers 75 and older were required to take an in-person road test at every renewal, a requirement that set Illinois apart from virtually every other state in the country. That changed on July 1st, 2026, when Governor Pritzker signed the Road Safety and Fairness Act into law. Under the new rule, the mandatory road test age was raised from 75 to 87. Drivers between 79 and 86 no longer face an automatic road test at renewal. They still renew in person and still take a vision test, but the behind-the-wheel requirement has been removed for that age group. At 87 and older, the in-person road test remains required. This change has been widely seen as a significant improvement for Illinois seniors in their 70s and early 80s, who were previously required to take a road test, regardless of their driving record or ability. However, and this matters, Illinois still requires in-person renewal starting at age 75, with vision testing at every renewal in that age group. The road test change does not eliminate the in-person requirement. It removes one specific element of that process for drivers under 87. If you are an Illinois driver between 75 and 86, you still need to appear in person. You still take a vision test. You no longer take a mandatory road test unless the DMV has a specific reason to require one. Other states. Key thresholds to know. Beyond those 4 states, here is a summary of the most significant age-based requirements in other states where large numbers of seniors are licensed. Arizona. Vision tests required at every renewal starting at age 65. One of the earliest thresholds in the country. Indiana. In-person renewal and vision testing required starting at age 75. Drivers 75 to 84 renew every 3 years. Drivers 85 and older renew every 2 years. Massachusetts, vision testing and in-person renewal required starting at age 75. Renewal cycle shortens significantly in this age group. Virginia, vision review required at every renewal starting at age 75. Missouri, online renewal cutoff at age 70. In-person required from that point forward. New Mexico, annual renewal required starting at age 79, one of the shortest renewal cycles in the country for older drivers. For states not listed here, including New York, which has no age-specific requirements at all, and several southern states with minimal age-based restrictions, I strongly recommend going directly to your state's DMV website and confirming your specific renewal requirements before your next expiration date. The vision test. What you need to know before you go. Vision is the most common point of failure for senior drivers at DMV renewals, and it is also the most preventable. The standard in most states is 20/40 vision in at least one eye, corrected or uncorrected. Some states, like Florida and Texas, use a slightly more lenient standard of 20/70. But in states like California and Arizona, the 20/40 threshold applies. Here is the part that matters practically. Many seniors who fail a DMV vision screen are not actually below the standard. They simply have not had their corrective lens prescription updated recently. They are wearing glasses or contacts from several years ago that no longer fully correct their vision. Before any renewal that includes a vision test, schedule an eye exam. Bring your current corrective lenses to the DMV. If your optometrist finds that your prescription needs updating, handle that before your renewal appointment, not after. In several states, including Florida and New York, you can have a licensed eye doctor complete and submit a vision certification form directly to the DMV on your behalf. That means you may not need to take the vision test at the DMV office at all, as long as your eye doctor's report is submitted before your renewal date. Check your state's specific policy before your appointment. What happens if you fail? This is the question nobody wants to ask, but it is worth understanding before you walk in. If you fail a vision test at the DMV and your vision cannot be corrected to the required standard, most states will not immediately revoke your license on the spot. The typical process is a temporary license or a restricted license while you complete a medical review. A medical review usually means a physician or ophthalmologist submitting a report confirming your vision status. The DMV then makes a determination based on that report. In most cases, the outcome is one of 3 things: a license renewal with a corrective lenses restriction, a license with restricted driving conditions such as daytime only, or, in more serious cases, a referral for a road test or further evaluation. Outright license revocation based on a single failed vision test is uncommon. What is more common is a restricted license that limits when and where you can drive, which for many seniors is a workable outcome that still preserves meaningful independence. If a road test is ordered, either as a routine requirement in your age group or because of a specific concern, treat it as you would any driving evaluation. Know your state's current traffic laws. Drive defensively. Follow all posted rules. A road test ordered for a senior driver is evaluated the same way as any other road test, by whether the driver demonstrates safe, controlled vehicle operation. The insurance angle, what most people do not realize. Here is something most seniors are not aware of when they think about DMV testing. What happens at your license renewal can affect your auto insurance. In most states, your insurance company does not automatically receive the results of your DMV renewal visit. A past vision test does not appear on your insurance record. Neither does a road test if one was required and completed successfully. However, if your license is restricted following a renewal, or if a road test result generates an incident on your driving record, your insurer may eventually see that information depending on your state's data sharing policies. More practically, many insurance companies for senior drivers offer meaningful discounts for completing a voluntary defensive driving course. AARP's Smart Driver course, available online or in person, qualifies for premium discounts of up to 5% for 3 years in most states. AAA offers a similar program. These courses also refresh your knowledge of current traffic laws, which is useful preparation for the written knowledge test in states that require one. If you are a senior driver in a state with mandatory testing requirements, taking one of these courses before your renewal serves 2 purposes. It prepares you for any knowledge-based component of your renewal, and it may reduce your insurance premium for the next several years. Let me bring everything together. California, in-person renewal, vision test, and written knowledge exam required starting at age 70, every renewal. Texas, in-person renewal and vision test required starting at age 79, 2-year licenses for drivers 85 and older. Florida, vision test required starting at age 80, can be completed through a certified eye doctor. In-person renewal required at 80 and older. Illinois, in-person renewal and vision test required starting at age 75. Road test requirement raised from age 75 to age 87, effective July 1st, 2026. Arizona, vision test at every renewal starting at age 65. Indiana, Massachusetts, Virginia, vision testing and in-person requirements starting at age 75. Missouri, in-person renewal required starting at age 70. New Mexico, annual renewal starting at age 79. For every state, the best first step is the same. Go directly to your state DMV's official website and look up the renewal requirements for your specific age. Do not rely on a social media post or a neighbor's experience. Rules change, and the requirement that applied 3 years ago may not be the same one that applies today. Before your renewal, schedule an eye exam. Bring current corrective lenses. Know the vision standard in your state. If a knowledge test is required, review your state's current driver handbook. It is available free on every state DMV website. And if you have a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, or a friend who is approaching one of these age thresholds and has not looked into their state's renewal requirements, share this video with them. Donald in Sacramento figured it out. He went in prepared, passed his vision test, completed his written exam, and walked out with a renewed license. He told me afterward that the hardest part was not the testing. It was finding out in time to prepare. That is all this video is for. Subscribe and turn on the bell. I will see you in the next one.